I really wanted to ask you to help us understand, not in a sense what your motivations are, because I get it, like you want Greenland, it makes sense. You're proud Americans, you're advocates of President Trump's policy. What I struggle more with is how you imagine others react to this. I mean, if you put yourself in the position of your Danish counterpart, who's a proud Dane and a loyal executor of the Danish government's position, how does this go down?
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay? We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical. So the point I want to make, and I want people to think about, is that America First is the job of our government to take care of our workers, to make sure their lives are better for it. And then, don't be America alone, right? But be America First. And I would suggest that policy is something for other countries to deeply consider, to take care of their own, and then we will work out wonderful relationships between us. But I want to point out, when America shines, the world shines. Close your eyes and think of a world without America in it. It becomes pretty dark, pretty darn quickly. When America shines, right? And everyone said, oh, you're going to do all these tariffs, you're going to destroy the world. The world's stock markets are up. Which ones of them? All of them.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America, and the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them, God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.
It is said that President Trump rather likes and admires shows of strength. What will happen if Europe does decide to respond with tariffs?
Secretary Lutnick, you said that globalization had failed the West and failed the United States, and you said it's left America behind. So I'd be interested to know some of the ways that the Bank of America and EY have been left behind in this set of circumstances that you're describing.
I thought your first answer was illuminating about what America First is, and you framed it partly as an expression of sovereignty. And I guess my question to you is, what about the sovereignty of other nations? And this is linked to your role, because the threats on Greenland are no longer hypothetical. You're already proposing economic warfare against 8 European countries. So how does this add up? Does sovereignty matter or not?
So I'll try to start on this side, which is when we launched our tariff regime on April 2nd, the world was aflutter with all of these kind of comments. But since then, if you check at the end of 2025, you will see all of the key indicators are up. The UK stock market's up. Europe's stock market is up. Japan is up. Korea is up. They are all up because, as it turns out, there is much more stability in a strong America and a natural and long-term relationship between two countries. I think with respect to the tariff policy, the president uses tariff policy to make sure people are talking and paying attention and not just acting. You have seen him use tariff policy again and again to have outcomes that are reasonable and appropriate. So the fact that he doesn't want things to be done without discussion and without consideration is a way for him to say, hey, you need to talk to us. If you're our great ally, you need to talk to us. Do I think the trade deals that we've set with Europe, with the UK, are they durable? I absolutely do. I do not see a model where Europe would decide, I want to blow up the tariff I have on automobiles or on pharmaceuticals or on semiconductors. I'd like to just go back to the way it was in April. I just don't see that happening. What I see happening is diplomacy and talking and at the table rather than action, which is something I think the president cares about and is important to the president. And I said, I will leave that to my national security people. But the president is clear-minded and clear of thought. He feels, and he's talked about this for 30 years, he has felt that the industrial policy of the United States allowed it to be hollowed out, and that would be true of Britain, and that would be true of Europe, that all of this has moved to Asia, right, where they make everything and we just buy it. And that has got to end. We need to produce things in America. We need to produce things, and we encourage the UK to do the same, right? And you agree. It's not as if we disagree. So that's the history, and sovereignty for America says we need to have our own steel. We need to have aluminum. We can have it with great allies, but we cannot have it where we rely on other people that maybe, like we've seen in critical minerals, and make no mistake about it, the critical mineral issue was with us a year ago. Everybody was sleeping through it. Donald Trump ripped the Band-Aid off, and the whole world said, oh, my God. And that is the intuition and power of Donald Trump's presidency, is that he's teaching the world what is wrong, and now the world is working together with respect to critical minerals to fix it, right? But there are all sorts of things that need to be fixed, one of which is a modification of industrial policy, that the United States of America should be a place where you build things, and I would encourage the UK to do the same. Yeah. Granted, it can't be everything to everyone, but there are a lot of things. Same for Canada, same for all our allies.
And what happens if Europe retaliates with tariffs of its own, Mr. Lutley?
Well, then we'll be back to a tit for tat, which is how we began, and it will end in a very positive conversation between Donald Trump and Ursula von der Leyen, which is what happened last time. So you can start with a kerfluffle, but in the end, right, the United States and Europe are great allies. The United States and the UK are great allies. These are great allies, right? We are great allies with Canada. We are great allies. It doesn't mean you don't have an argument. Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't disagree. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fundamentals of the United States knows who our allies are And if we're going to have a kerfluffle, so be it. But we know where it's going to end. It's going to end in a reasonable manner that, in our view, prior to Donald Trump taking the helm of the United States of America, the world was taking the piss out of us, right? And we were exporting the power of our economy to the rest of the world. In 1 year of change, I just said my expectation is GDP of the United States of America is over 5% in the first quarter of 2026. That's just my opinion. But so far, in the first quarter, if you saw what I said I thought the United States would grow 4%, and the whole world said, you got to be kidding me. 4.3% in the third quarter. You're going to see plus 5% from the United States of America, the $30 trillion economy, winning. And that's good for the world.
I'm wondering where the safeguarding of credibility in the institutions of American governance fits into your vision for America First.
Commerce Secretary, would you like to see the UK government taking a position on China that's much more in line with your administration's?
Clearly, I'd like the UK, who was our great friend and ally, to be aligned with us. Right? That's clear. With respect to interest rates in America, there's been a classic policy that when the U.S. economy does well, raise rates and put brakes on it. When the U.S. economy is doing poorly, cut rates and add gas to it. But basically define mediocrity one way or the other. And President Trump thinks quite differently. We are the best credit in the world. Why are we paying a higher rate than all the other credits of the world? It makes no sense. Our rates are too high. It's just binary. Our rates should be much lower so that our economy can finally flourish. I think we're going to grow more than 5% GDP this quarter, and that's for the $30 trillion U.S. economy. And if rates were lower, you would see us hit 6%. What is holding us back is ourselves, okay? We are going to align our economy and our industrial policy with growth and success, and we hope to export that. I hope the UK follows our energy policy, follows our digital policy, so that our great tech companies can invest in the UK, can invest in Canada, can invest in Europe. But they can't if they have the Digital Services Act, the Digital Services Act, the Digital Markets Act, the digital this, the digital that. Europe has taxed our companies with fines and regulatory attacks more than they've earned in taxes on their own technology companies. Instead of saying, come and build and grow and build data centers here, they tax the heck out of them with fines and regulations that harm them. It's illogical. There's a reason the United States has $18 trillion of economic power coming in. You just watch. I couldn't say 5%, and I couldn't say, I think 6% if we cut interest rates is in the cards, unless that $18 trillion comes to America to build. And let me give you a hint. It's coming, and it's coming fast.